My name is Olivia Thompson, and I've always been known as the dependable one in the family. Ever since our parents passed away in a car accident when I was 24 and my younger brother, Ethan, was just 16, I took on the role of guardian, sister, and best friend. He became my world overnight, and I promised myself I'd do everything to give him a life full of love and stability. Years flew by. Ethan grew into a tall, handsome, confident man who had just turned 23. I was now 31, living on my own, working as a marketing consultant, and dating occasionally, but nothing serious ever stuck. Ethan had graduated college with a degree in architecture and was just starting his first big job at a firm in the city. We still talked regularly, and he'd often visit me on weekends or call me late at night to talk about life, work, and his dreams. We were close, very close, but I never expected what he'd ask of me that rainy Saturday afternoon in April. I was curled up on the couch with a cup of coffee and a light throw over my legs, binge-watching an old series I'd seen a dozen times. My apartment smelled like cinnamon from the candle burning on the side table, and the steady rhythm of raindrops tapping the windows gave the room a peaceful vibe. That's when the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door to find Ethan standing there, his hoodie soaked and his expression serious. "Hey," he said with a small smile. "Ethan, what are you doing here? You should have called." "I know. I needed to talk. Can I come in?" I stepped aside, letting him in as he peeled off the wet hoodie and hung it by the door. His hair was damp, sticking to his forehead, and his eyes looked tired. "Everything okay?" I asked as I handed him a towel and motioned toward the couch. He sat, running the towel through his hair. "Yeah, I guess. I've just been thinking a lot lately, and I needed to talk to you in person." I sat beside him, searching his face. "What's going on?" He took a deep breath. "Promise me you won't freak out." That immediately made me anxious. "Ethan, just tell me." He hesitated, then said slowly, "I know this is going to sound weird, maybe even inappropriate, but I've been thinking about something for a while, and I can't get it out of my head. So I figured, I might as well just ask." "Okay." He turned to face me directly, his tone low. "Olivia, I've never really had anyone I trust completely. Not like I trust you. You've always been there for me, supported me, and I feel like I've missed out on a lot of important things. Stuff other guys my age have already experienced. And I'm not saying this to be awkward or make you uncomfortable, but I was wondering if you'd be willing to help me understand something I've never really gotten to figure out. Something personal." I blinked. "Ethan, what are you trying to say?" "I've never had a real relationship," he confessed. "Not physically. I've always been nervous, second-guessing myself. I don't want to mess things up when the time comes. And I guess I just thought, maybe if you didn't think it was too strange, you could guide me. Just once. Help me know what it's like. With someone I trust." I was stunned. My heart pounded in my chest, and I stared at him in disbelief. "Ethan, that's not something people usually ask their siblings." "I know," he said quickly. "And I'm not trying to make things weird between us. But I couldn't think of anyone else I'd feel safe enough to ask. You've always taken care of me, and I'd never do anything you weren't comfortable with." I stood and began pacing the room. "This is a lot, Ethan. I don't even know how to process it." "I get it," he said quietly. "If you say no, I'll understand. I just didn't want to carry this in my head forever." I watched him for a long moment. He looked so vulnerable, not like the confident young man I'd grown used to, but like the 16-year-old I'd comforted after nightmares and heartbreaks. I sat back down, this time closer to him, and took his hand. "Why now?" I asked. "Because I feel stuck," he admitted. "I go on dates, but I freeze up. I don't know how to act. I feel ashamed that I'm this far behind. I thought maybe, just once if I had a chance to understand what intimacy could feel like, with someone who wouldn't judge me, it could change everything." I took a deep breath. This is so far out of anything I've ever imagined, Ethan. But I also know you wouldn't come to me like this unless you really thought it through. I did, he whispered. There was a long silence between us. My heart battled with my mind, but somewhere deep inside, there was a strange warmth, a part of me that understood his need. Maybe it was because I'd always seen myself as his protector. Maybe I just wanted him to finally feel confident and whole. I nodded slowly. Okay. His eyes widened. Okay. Just this once. And only if we both agree on clear boundaries. This has to be something we never speak about again once it's done. Do you understand? He nodded, visibly shaken by my agreement. Yes. Absolutely. That night, everything was quiet. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, and the city outside felt hushed. I lit candles to soften the mood, unsure of what else to do. My heart was beating wildly as we sat on the edge of my bed, facing each other, unsure of how to begin. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't passionate. But it was real. Ethan was gentle, nervous, and attentive. I guided him through things, teaching him with patience and care, never rushing, never pushing. It wasn't about lust. It was about connection and healing. He kept thanking me in soft whispers, telling me how much it meant to him. Afterward, we lay side by side in silence, and I could feel how different everything had become. The air was heavier, filled with unspoken emotion. I turned to him, brushing his hair back. You okay? He nodded, eyes glassy. More than okay. Thank you. I smiled weakly. This changes things. We have to be careful. I know. I won't make it weird. I promise. The next morning, we had coffee like usual, talking about normal things. His job, a funny email I got from a client, the weather. But something unspoken lingered beneath our words. And yet, somehow, it didn't feel wrong. It just felt honest. Over the weeks that followed, we never spoke about that night again. We returned to our roles, me, the older sister looking out for him, and him, the younger brother figuring out his adult life. He started dating someone a few months later, a sweet girl named Sarah. He told me he finally felt comfortable with himself, like he knew how to be confident and open. When I met Sarah, she hugged me warmly and said, Ethan talks about how amazing you are. He says you've helped him in ways no one else could. I just smiled. He's a good man. Inside I felt peace. Not because of what we did, but because I knew I'd helped him cross a bridge he couldn't have crossed alone. It was unconventional. Maybe even unthinkable. But sometimes, life doesn't come wrapped in rules and neat little boxes. Sometimes, the love we give takes unexpected shapes, and all we can do is choose compassion over convention. Years later, Ethan and Sarah got married. I stood in the front row, watching my younger brother beaming with confidence, holding the hand of the woman he adored. And when he glanced at me briefly during the vows, there was something in his eyes that said thank you, without ever needing to say a word.